Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, was caught pressuring Trump's chief of staff to overturn the 2020 election. This is from a Bombshell investigative piece initially reported on by the Washington Post that also implicates Justice Clarence Thomas based on a couple of recent votes of his. So this story is wild. First up, New York Times here. I'm using their report on this. Ginni Thomas pressed Trump's chief of staff to overturn 2020 vote. Text show the messages between Ms. Thomas and Mark Meadows are the first evidence that she directly advised the White House in efforts to reverse the election results. So I'm going to get to a few examples here of her text messages, some reactions online, including from one Democratic lawmaker calling to now impeach Clarence Thomas. But first here, I want to show you this. This is from just a couple weeks ago. Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court could be compromised by politics. This is Clarence Thomas saying this. Just 2 weeks before this massive investigative piece showing his wife pressuring the White House and a couple of votes of his that implicate him. So before I even go on, let me just read the first paragraph here, showing you how completely insane this is from Clarence Thomas. The U.S. Supreme Court could at some point become compromised by politics, said Clarence Thomas, one of 6 conservatives on the 9-member court, after Republicans denied Barack Obama a nomination, then rammed 3 new justices through during the hard-right presidency of Donald Trump. That alone shows you how ridiculous Clarence Thomas's comments are, let alone this piece. So let me get into it here. In one message sent in the days after the election, she urged the chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to, quote, release the Kraken and save us from the left taking America down, invoking a slogan popular on the right that refers to a web of conspiracy theories that Trump supporters believed would overturn the election. In another, she wrote, quote, I can't see Americans swallowing the obvious fraud, just going with one more thing with no friggin' consequences, she added. Quote, we just cave to people wanting Biden to be anointed. Many of us can't continue the GOP charade. So clearly, this is somebody who has been radicalized. The wife of a Supreme Court justice has been radicalized, believes in QAnon conspiracies. I'll get to some of that in a minute as well. Just completely out of her mind, and has a direct connection to the White House, trying to pressure them and others around them to overturn the election. More here. So the committee obtained 29 texts between Ms. Thomas and Mr. Meadows, 28 exchanged between November 4th and November 24th, and one written on January 10th. The text messages, most of which were written by Ms. Thomas, represent the first evidence that she was directly advising the White House as it sought to overturn the election. In fact, in her efforts to keep Mr. Trump in power, Ms. Thomas effectively toggled between like-minded members of the executive and legislative branches, even as her husband, who sits atop the judiciary branch that is supposed to serve as a check on other branches of government, heard election-related cases. So I'm going to get to some of that shortly. First here, in one text exchange after the election, she tells Mr. Meadows that he needs to listen to Steve Pizidnik, a one-time State Department consultant who has appeared on Alex Jones' InfoWars to claim, among other things, that the Sandy Hook school massacre was a false flag operation. She also quoted language circulating on pro-Trump sites that said, quote, Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media censorship mongers, fake stream media reporters, etc., are being arrested and detained for ballot fraud right now and over coming days, and will be living in barges off Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition. She added, I hope this is true. Showing you the kinds of people that Ms. Meadows, or not Ms. Meadows, that Ms. Thomas listens to. The information, where she gets her information from, places like Alex Jones, InfoWars, these sorts of people that are on that show, completely out of her damn mind. Now, this here from Kevin M. Cruz saying, I'm sure if the spouse of a liberal justice had repeatedly texted a Democratic president's chief of staff with pleas to help overturn an election, congressional Republicans wouldn't make a big deal out of it. and definitely wouldn't have articles of impeachment drawn up in hours. Yeah. Showing you you know the reaction, how different it would be. And by the way, they would be justified in doing so. This shows you how weak Democratic lawmakers are. So as of recording this, Democrats have not drawn up articles of impeachment. Maybe they will. I would be surprised if they did. I will say, though, one member of the House is calling for this. I'll get to who that is shortly. Maybe more will join her. I hope they will. But man, the complete difference here between how Democrats act and how Republicans act, it's just night and day. Now, this is where we get Clarence Thomas implicated here. I mean, he's already implicated because this is his wife, and clearly he must know his wife is radicalized and is texting, the White House. But even apart from that, a couple of votes clearly show how he feels about this issue as well. So Justice Thomas has been Mr. Trump's most stalwart defender in the court. In February 2021, he wrote a dissent after the majority declined to hear a case filed by Pennsylvania Republicans that sought to disqualify certain mail-in ballots. And this past January, he was the only justice who voted against allowing the release of records from the Trump White House related to the January 6th attack. This, of course, directly implicating his wife, likely the reason he was against it. Also, likely because he supports Donald Trump. And then this as well shows you, he wanted to disqualify certain mail-in ballots. Meanwhile, the other conservatives on the court disagreed. So this is just completely wild, completely bonkers. There has to be a proper reaction to this. They have to move to impeach him. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be convicted. If he does get impeached, which already, we're out in in fantasy land here, even considering the Democrats may think about impeaching him. But even if they did, they only have the numbers to impeach him in the House, and then he has to be convicted to actually be removed. Democrats would need 2/3 of the Senate to do that, which they don't have, and I doubt you're going to see, Republicans jump on board to convict a sitting conservative judge or justice. But on that point, Ilhan Omar has come out to say Clarence Thomas needs to be impeached, and that's citing the fact that Clarence Thomas was the only no vote in an 8-1 decision to allow the release of Trump's January 6 documents showing plans to order the military to seize voting machines. So, yeah. Ilhan Omar, a consistent fighter for justice, for objective reality. Let's see if other Democrats join her, but it is just crazy. Again, I'm just amazed at how different. I'm not amazed because this has been going on for a while, but just you have to really consider the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans literally make shit up to get angry about. They win elections on making shit up, like about critical race theory, making that the new boogeyman, or about being anti-trans. They just make things up about how they're dominating all female sports. Yet here's an actual real issue. A legitimate concern about a sitting Supreme Court justice. And there isn't even an expectation that Democrats are going to do anything about it. Maybe they will. I'd be surprised if they do, but I guess we're going to have to see.